If you follow this daily language learning routine, in a few months, you'll know thousands of words. You'll understand almost everything pretty easily, and you'll speak fluently and confidently. Keep watching because this video is going to change your life. Most people who try to learn a language fail. They never become fluent. They spend years using inefficient methods like traditional classes, apps, grammar books. They do all sorts of stuff that doesn't work. And you end up thinking that language learning is simply like that some people are just not talented for languages and that you should give up. But that's not really the case. The reality of it is that you've been wasting your time with methods that don't work or that work but really slowly. But if instead you learn the right way, efficiently, you can achieve fluency very quickly. And in this video, I'll show you a simple daily routine that you can follow, half an hour a day, an hour a day maximum, and you'll get results very quickly. No classes, no grammar, no nonsense. And by the way, you can do this at home, on your own. This is a proven routine that has worked for me over and over again, and has also worked for thousands of people already. If you're not learning this way, you're missing out and you're falling behind. Alright, let's get started. In language learning, basically there are three things you need to learn: vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. And vocabulary is by far the most important one. It's the foundation of understanding and speaking a language. Words. Words are the building blocks of a language. If you don't know the words, you cannot understand a language and you cannot speak. Pronunciation comes next in order of importance. Because even if you know the words, if you don't understand them when you hear them, you will not understand what native speakers are saying. And finally, we have grammar, which is useful, but it's the least important of the three. But for some reason, most courses and books and classes tend to focus mostly on grammar. And this is why most language learners fail. Because your teachers are teaching you grammar instead of helping you learn more words. If you don't know the grammar rules but know a lot of words, you will understand the language and you'll be able to speak. With mistakes that you'll have to fix later, but you'll be able to speak. If you know lots of grammar rules, but you don't know enough vocabulary, you will not be able to speak at all. So step one is learning as much vocabulary as possible every single day. And the best way to do this is with mnemonic associations. You can learn 30, 50, 80 words, 100 words a day or more if you use mnemonic associations. Flashcards are okay if you have the time and the discipline for it, but even if you use them, I recommend you combine them with mnemonic associations. You'll have to review those words much less often if you use mnemonic associations. And if you're learning 30, 40, 50 words a day with mnemonic associations, you'll be able to understand the language relatively soon. In a few months, you'll get to around 5,000 words, and eventually you'll understand the grammar as well, simply by learning it in context. If you know enough words and you can consume content, you can learn grammar naturally. Alright, so which words should you learn though? Where should you start? In which order should you learn them? Well, start with the most common words. The most common verbs, the most common adjectives, and the most common adverbs. And then learn the specific words you need in the content you're interested in. Once you know 1,000 or 2,000 of the most common words, you'll understand 80 or 90% of the vocabulary in any content. And this is more than enough to start listening to the language regularly and to understand quite a lot. And this precisely is step 2. You should do massive amounts of listening daily. I'm talking about authentic content by native speakers for native speakers. The kind of stuff you would listen to in your native language. And you will not understand much in the beginning, but if you keep memorizing a lot of words every single day, especially words from that specific type of content, you will very soon start to understand. And if you keep going, eventually you will understand everything. By the way, I recommend you use long form content and audio only for a very specific reason. It's much easier to stay focused and not get distracted if you do that. Choose topics you're already interested in, things you'd listen to in your native language. Get the transcripts, review them, memorize the new words with mnemonics so that you actually know the vocab in the content, and then listen to the content once or twice, and then do the same thing with another piece of content, and then another one. If you do this with one piece of long-form content every day, in a month you'll understand pretty much everything. Remember to review the transcript first and to memorize all the new words with mnemonics, and then listen to the content. And if you do that, you'll get good at understanding the language. But if you want to speak the language fluently, you have to practice speaking. You cannot learn to speak a language by watching videos or listening to the language. You have to speak. And the easiest way to start speaking is speaking to yourself. Take sentences you want to be able to say in the language and start repeating them aloud, either reading them aloud or, if you're not sure about the pronunciation, then listening and repeating each sentence several times. Twice, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times if necessary. Repeat them out loud until you can say them easily. And record yourself and then listen to yourself compared to the original. And this way you'll slowly fix your pronunciation. If you do this daily, even if it's 5 minutes, you will very quickly improve your speaking skills. And what kind of sentences should you be repeating aloud? Well, any kind of sentences are good if you are actually repeating them aloud, but the best sentences to do this with are your language islands. You should write your language islands. I recommend you take 5 minutes a day to write about something that you want to talk about. You write as many sentences as possible using your speaking voice. So you write the way you speak about any topic you normally talk about, and then you translate those sentences into the target language. And these are the best sentences you can learn to get conversational quickly. So you should be reading them aloud, you should be repeating them aloud over and over again until you know them by heart and until you can say them automatically with no hesitation. And that's it. This is the daily routine. You can do this in 45 minutes. Memorize at least 30 new words with mnemonics. Write more sentences you want to be able to say and repeat those sentences aloud over and over again. And then you should also be listening a lot. But this you can do while you do something else, like driving, working out, going for runs and things like that. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Memorize more words, learn useful sentences with language islands, repeat them aloud, and do a lot of listening practice. And if you do this consistently, in a few months, you'll know thousands of words, you'll understand the language relatively easily, and you'll be able to speak fluently and confidently about any topic. You can do all of this on your own, at home. You just need a computer and a phone. This method always works because it's simple, focused, and repeatable. Give it a try for a week and you'll see results already. And if you want to know the specific details about how to use any of these techniques, watch my tutorial videos.